Police are still hunting two prisoners who were mistakenly released from Wandsworth Prison this week. 24-year-old Algerian sex offender Brahim Kadoa Sharif and 35-year-old fraudster William Smith.
All this came to light for all of us yesterday as David Lammy, who was standing in for the Prime Minister as Deputy Prime Minister, repeatedly avoided questions about whether any foreign offenders had been wrongly released from prison in his knowledge. Well, joining us now is Justice Minister Alex Davies-Jones. Very good to see you this morning. Thank you very much for coming on the show. Lots of serious, important things to our viewers to discuss. But I've got to ask you, first of all, why isn't your boss here? Why isn't the Justice Secretary, David Lammy, here? It's his name that's in the frame. It's him that didn't answer questions. Why has he put you up to take the flak?
So David Lammy, the Justice Secretary, is actually breaking ground on a new prison this morning because we need to be building more prison places, and he will be speaking to the media later this morning and later today.
I'm not totally sure whether breaking ground on a new prison is something that he had to do. I mean, he could have come and explained why yesterday, despite knowing the information about this new release of another prisoner, he 5 times failed to answer that question in Parliament when asked directly by the Shadow Defence Secretary at Prime Minister's questions. To be quite honest, somebody else could have dug the ground and he could have explained what was in his mind. Very hard to ask you why he did that.
Well, Ed, this is a long-standing engagement. He's getting on with the day job. He will be speaking to the media later today. He'll be in Parliament on Tuesday answering justice orals. And it's really, really important that we hear from governors directly as well about what more we can be doing to support our prison staff who are having to work in really difficult, challenging circumstances.
I have to say to you, Alex, if you are a Cabinet Minister, you have a long-standing engagement, and then you suddenly find out you are in the middle of a storm because people are being released from prison, and you didn't answer the question yesterday and didn't come to the House of Commons when the Speaker asked you to come. In those circumstances, pre-arranged engagements with a spade in the ground are less important than answering questions. Anyway, look, we appreciate that you've come on our programme, and thank you for that. You've been a Justice Minister now for over a year. We were just talking to the chair of the Prison Officers Association, Mark Fairhurst. He said that we've seen a 100% rise in mistaken releases in the last year, but the overcrowding of prisons, the pressure on staff, clerical errors and the complications because of the early release scheme, he said they were all obvious 18 months ago. For the last year, what have you been doing? Why is it today you're calling prison and governors together to find out what's going on? Why weren't you doing that 18 months ago?
So I think it's really, really important to recognise here, Ed, that we inherited a prison system and an entire justice system in absolute crisis when we came into office. As you've said, prisons overcrowding. When we left office in 2010, the Labour government had built 28,000 places. The Tories built just 500 during their 14 years in office. Chronic underfunding and austerity to our public services, not just our NHS under them, but also our prison system has meant that prison staff are still working on a paper-based system in 2025, which is totally unacceptable.
But the problem
and
is,
we
Alex,
are building new prisons, we are introducing new sentencing laws, but this isn't going to be fixed overnight,
Alex, but to go back to the exact question I'm asking you, under the Conservatives, in 14 years, the mistaken releases were around 50 a year. In the last year, it's up 100% to 262. So simply blaming the Tories isn't enough. Why has it got so much worse in the last 18 months?
No, I think facts matter here. When the Tories left office, there was around 17 releases in error every single month. They have increased. They are now around 22 in error every single month. But that speaks to the wider problem in our prison system that is in crisis that we need to fix. We're not going to be able to wave a magic wand and fix it overnight. We are bringing in tech experts today to help our prison staff because they're still working on paper. But ultimately, we need to build more prisons. We need to fix our sentencing laws so that we never get in the situation we were in just before the general election, when the Tories ran away from the problem and failed to address it.
OK, you're in power now. You confidently, not you personally, but everyone confidently talked about on Monday, toughest checks ever been in place, and yet still 2 prisoners were released accidentally. What were the checks before, and what are these checks?
Look, I think it's a very fair question, and we've introduced a new comprehensive checklist for governors when anyone is released from custody to ensure that we have got all of this in place. But it's important to recognise here that human error is going to occur when you are dealing with boxes and boxes and reams of paper.
What we need is better tech, so we're bringing them in to help them. You've talked very generally, sorry. So when you said you've got stuff that you've put in, what does that mean? You know, are you making sure that the right name is attached to the right thing? It's like a basic, isn't it? It's like counting heads.
It is basic, Kate, and you've identified an issue there.
That there isn't enough staff, and what can realistically change?
So we've introduced deputy governors to be present at every release. We're bringing in these new advanced checklists, and we're bringing in, I'm announcing today that we're supporting our prison staff, taking them out of the dark ages of paper-based systems with new tech, bringing in a crack team to help them identify urgent issues.
When on that? Do we have a when that might be?
That's happening imminently. These tech experts are going in to help support our prison staff.
Within the next couple of weeks? Within the next couple of months?
Days.
Days. OK, so they're going in days to try and help. Are you going to get more numbers in? We were just speaking to a former Bridger Chris who said that he was asked to do the checks at times, even though he was in there for a conviction of dishonesty. So, you know, what's going to happen today, tomorrow and the day after in terms of numbers?
So in terms of that numbers, it's supporting our brilliant staff who are working on the ground in really difficult circumstances here. We're bringing in extra tech experts. We've got Dame Lynn Owens doing a rapid review to bring forward recommendations. But it's also important to recognise here that we're convening an urgent meeting of the governors to speak to them directly about what more we can do.
The frightening thing is we have a manhunt on, a double manhunt, one of which is a convicted sex offender, which is going to strike fear into the heart of anybody watching. You've already said it's 22 people that are being mistakenly released a week.
No, I think you meant a month, actually, not a week, didn't you?
Yes, a month, yeah.
OK, 22
I think you said a
month.
week. I mean,
so
that would be much worse.
We've had 2, I think you said a week, but you mean a month, so that's clear now. 2 already this week. How many more, people are going to think? How many more this week? How many more next week? Have you any idea?
Well, again, this speaks to the issue at hand here. The prison system is in absolute crisis. We're bringing in these urgent measures to try and help the staff and try and address some of these problems, but that systemic change is going to take time. We can't build more prison places overnight. We're investing more in probation, 700 million announced just earlier this year to support our prison staff and our probation teams. But this isn't going to be a quick fix. We're bringing in these urgent changes, and I recognise that any release in error is totally unacceptable. Look, I share the fury and the frustration of your viewers. It's unacceptable. We need to get to grips with this, and that's exactly what we're doing.
But I think the question that Dame Lynn Owens will look at when she is doing the review, which she's now been commissioned to do for you and for David Lammy, I think one of the questions she's going to ask is whether over the last year, when you went for this early release scheme in order to relieve the pressure on prisons, doing that early release, has that led to more confusion and complication? Is that why these mistaken releases have gone up? Did you fail to spot the risks and the dangers in your early release scheme?
So it's important to note, Ed, that when we came into office, the prisons were at the brink of collapse, and that would have meant a total breakdown of law and order in the country.
You did say that before. I understand that, but you said that before. The question I'm asking you to be accountable for what you did. I'm asking you whether you, as the minister in charge with the Secretary of State, properly understood what early release would do and whether it has led to this huge rise in mistaken releases. I know you want to blame the Tories, and I'm sure they're partly to blame, but I'm asking you to be accountable.
Yeah.
We can't have David Lammy being accountable because he's not turned up. Can you be accountable?
We put exemptions in place to protect domestic abuse victims. We ensured that no one who was convicted of domestic abuse, coercive control, strangulation would have been released. We put those measures in place to protect the public, and I am very, very clear that under this government there will always be a prison place available for someone who needs it. But we have to break this cycle cycle of crisis in the justice system, that isn't going to happen overnight. It's going to take time. We need to build more prison places, but even when we build 14,000 new prisons, the biggest prison building programme since the Victorian era, there will still be more people in prison. So we have to look at sentencing, we have to look at alternative methods such as electronic tagging, exclusion zones, working with probation service to fix this mess, to protect victims and to protect the public.
Well, I certainly hope you can hold the trust of people to deliver on that, because I think that's the challenge this morning, isn't it?
But we appreciate you coming and doing an interview with us. It's good that you've done that, and thank you.